everyone, and welcome to another She-Hulk recap and review here on Fandom Entertainment. I'm your host, Eric Goldman, who is not he's not here this week, so I'm taking over. I've got the business computer and I'm ready to rock it.
It's full of business. I'm looking at it right. There's so much business
full
on
of
there.
Business.
You look for business.
Thank you so much, Kim. Oh yeah, I'm Bailey Meyers. This is Lon Harris, and that's Kim Taylor Foster.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. How's it going over in England?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, I'm still enjoying the last days of summer until the rain comes, which will inevitably come very soon.
Well, that's a great seg because spoiler zone happening now. Everyone brace yourselves. Spoilers are happening. Your last days of summer, were they rendered more enjoyable with She-Hulk episode 3, or did they leave you on a sour note?
Oh, infinitely more enjoyable, Bailey. Yes, this has been my favorite episode so far. And you know, we got the Wong cameo that Jennifer told us we were all waiting for. Which we were, you know, let's be honest. And he didn't disappoint. And we got the Wrecking Crew, which was cool. They made an appearance and kind of started to potentially bring events from the first two episodes together, and also maybe point towards the future of the MCU. And we were left with some questions, which makes me want to see the next episode. And there was a lot of funny moments. I think the funniest moments for me were in the smaller details rather than the out and out jokes, maybe. But yeah, and I love all the MCU meta stuff as well. So, you know, taking a poke at all of the misogynists that hate lady superheroes.
Yes, Lon and I were talking about this earlier, but they did seem to perfectly predict the reaction to She-Hulk, including shamefully my reaction to episode 1, which was deserved.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I felt about this one. Was it felt like this was the first episode of the 3 that has really delivered on the promise of the premise of, like, it's going to be a legal comedy with She-Hulk as a lawyer, and she's taking superhero cases, and like the first 2 feel like place setting in a lot of ways, and there were fun moments that I enjoyed, but this was the first one where it was like, okay, everything's locked into place, and now I get what this show is, and it was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. I thought that it was the best one so far. I think the trajectory on episode quality has been really good, to the degree that I'm like actively mad they started with episode 1, which we have been told was supposed to be the 8th episode. And the more episodes go by that I like, the more I am puzzled why they did that. Because tonally, episodes 2 and 3 have been so different from episode 1 that I find it deeply perplexing. Yeah.
And it's just weird because the idea that, well, we need to see the origin story at the beginning to understand a superhero origin is like, folks, it's 2022. You could skip it entirely. We're used to it at this point. Just tell us what happened. You don't need to spend a whole episode. And that is kind of how I felt about the first 2. Like, I don't know if it needed so much time to set up, like, here's how she got powers, and here's her debate with Bruce about using them, and here's how she became a lawyer in this one office and with this team, and it's just like, I just get to the cases. I want to see She-Hulk as an attorney at law.
I get that. Kim, what did you think? Do you think that there was too much setup?
No, I honestly liked it that way. I'm glad that came and was out of the way in the first episode. It wasn't my favorite. Well, it wasn't my favorite episode, and I said to you, I think the first week that we were reviewing these shows, Bailey, that I have seen the first 4 episodes, and this one of the 4 was my favorite. So I did get the opportunity to see them all together and see the build in one go. So it's a different experience to what most people have had. So but yes, I would have had questions over the origin story personally, had they left it to the end, that I would have liked answered early on, which is what they did. So a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I understand. I am sort of halfway between the two of you, where
Mm.
I appreciated some of the setup, where I did want to know how she went from working as a public attorney to a private corporate attorney. I think that that's important, because if we're supposed to understand her as like this like good-hearted person, having her start working for the sleazy lawyer guy feels like we would have a lot of questions about it. But like knowing how she got there to me felt important. I could have done without 90% of episode 1. That one just, I would have loved like just a fast paced like speed through, like they've been so meta, like especially in this last episode. Why couldn't they have done like a fast forward, like this is the training montage?
Yeah.
Just suffice to say, I'm pretty good at it now.
It just feels a little on the nose to have like her have conversations, like multiple conversations about like, can I be both a Hulk and a lawyer? Like, well, that's what the show's gonna explore.
Can women have it all?
Yeah, like we can just kind of like get to you figuring this out in real time by taking cases and being a Hulk who is also a lawyer. So yeah, I mean it's really, now that we've gotten to it, I'm feeling like, oh well, that I wanted to get to this all along. Like this is what the show ought to be, and if it takes a few episodes to get there, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Agree, definitely. Oh, Kim, you brought up a very big cameo. Wong showed up in this episode. What did we all think of that?
I mean, he's always funny. He's always welcome. I love a Wong appearance. Always. I love that he's on this show. I love his social media profile. But he had no interests listed under interests. So, I'd like him to go back and fill that in. Or maybe we didn't scroll down that far. Maybe that was the case.
He is. We know he's a gourmand. We know he's a foodie. We know that.
His interests include food, cage fighting, and abolishing the prison system.
But the cage fighting
books. He loves to read.
And he was a Target sales associate for
Right. Yes.
So true.
We
For
saw
9
that
years.
on his resume.
9 years.
So he definitely has a passion for retail, I assume. Customer service is on his list.
It's located at the Kamartage, so I didn't know that there was a Target there.
On the side of that mountain somewhere, presumably, because now
They
we've
can
seen
put them
Camartage.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a Starbucks in that one, though. That's my big question.
It's like that one that one in LA on Sunset where it's just like a half finished Target for years that they never quite finish.
That one's done now.
I know.
It's very big.
It's very inside joke.
Very big and shiny.
I was really happy. Benedict Wong, he's got the perfect vibe for a show like this. Like it's exactly, it feels like his speed, like the kind of comedy that he does, and that kind of sardonic, dry sort of delivery that he has. So yeah, it felt like a perfect match of performer and venue. I'm always the guy who's like waiting to get like, what does the lay person on the street think of the craziest stuff about the MCU? So this was a rare opportunity to be like, okay, this prison parole board has to hear from the Sorcerer Supreme. And like, what is, in their mind, what even is a sword? Like, does everybody on Earth know what the Sorcerer Supreme is at this point? We didn't really delve into that in this episode, but I always like those moments.
True, very true. Yeah, no, Kim, go ahead.
So I was just going to say my favorite bit, which sounds mad because it was such a small moment, was when he, left the proceedings very quickly when it looked like he might be getting into a little lawsuit of his own. But he knocked over the microphone, and then Jennifer picks it up again, and I thought that was hilarious. That's about the level of my sense of humor.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely made me laugh. I think a lot of the jokes this episode were very focused on like the meta aspect, like Jen turning to the camera and being like, oh, the A plot and the B plot are coming together, or something like that. And sometimes it landed for me, but sometimes it did feel like it was a little bit much, where like it felt like it was every joke was just commenting on the fact that it is a TV show.
Yeah. I
like,
think that's...
there's a cameo every episode, and the A and B plot thing, and et cetera, where I'm like, at some point, can we make jokes about what's happening in the episode in the episode, you know?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I saw an interview with her talk about this one time, like, because Fleabag obviously does the fourth wall breaking, and it's so delicate. Like, if you do it one or two times too many, it's cheesy and lame. You got to be really judicious, and that was the thing that she was super focused on when writing Fleabag, and I feel like they're obviously got to be very focused on it here too. Of like, you don't want to it's got to be very, like, if you use it perfectly, you get those great moments where it's like the show can sort of poke fun at itself. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to be like really careful about not overdoing it.
Yeah, it feels like they were inspired by Fleabag without like maybe learning lessons from it.
Yeah,
I mean, the funniest bits for me were those moments that were just naturally part of the main event. So that microphone, there's the Crocs moment that Emil has. You know, just the little careful placing of his Crocs.
Yes, that was so good.
Yeah, and also there's that little look that he gives, you know, when Wong says that the weather at the Kamatage this time of year is lovely, and just the expression on Tim Roth's face was just perfect, very funny.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. I thought that I just need them to focus a little bit more on like balancing that. I think that that reminds me, speaking of cameos, I'm doing a great job hosting.
You are.
Thank you so much.
I was just about to say myself.
Oh, thank you so much. Ryan, our producer, has confirmed this for me. This is good. I'm going to just keep fishing for compliments as we go. This is so good. good method. Everyone loves that. But speaking of cameos, we got another much hyped cameo at the end. And somewhat throughout the episode, Megan Thee Stallion showed up.
Yes. I had thought as an old white person who does not know such things that we were just supposed to say Megan Thee Stallion. Like, I know she spells it with two E's, but I thought the proper pronunciation was just Megan Thee Stallion.
It
but
is.
In this episode, right, here's what I'm going to say. People keep saying Megan Thee Stallion, really hitting it, but I couldn't tell if they were doing it like they're nerds who don't know how to say it, and that's a joke, or I'm saying it incorrectly in my real life.
Same, but there's one character who does say Megan Thee Stallion, and that's Pug.
Pug would know. Pug would be the one who would know how to say it.
Okay, yeah. It left this episode left me with so many questions about Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah. Oh, there she is.
There she is
twerking. Yeah. I almost did feel like having them both twerking, and then like just the close up on She-Hulk's butt felt somehow disrespectful to both of them. Like, Megan does it so well for real, and She-Hulk is CG, and also we're just looking at her butt after that. I guess it's fair comeuppance after she talked about Captain America's butt for so long, but that one I didn't love. If it had just been the side view, I would have thought it was fun, but the close up on her butt for what felt like a full minute was a lot to me.
I felt like the cameo within the episode worked great and was funny, and I had no problems with it. I can't say I loved that post credit. See, it felt a little bit like, oh, we got to have Sonic the Hedgehog floss now. That's what they get. Like, it felt a little too pandering. Like, yes.
Sonic is known for flossing.
Yes, the kids twerk now, and that's what you do on TikTok, and so She-Hulk's got to do it.
Sure, well, I mean, Megan is notable for her
I understand
ability.
that's twerking is her signature bit. But
I would watch her twerk anywhere, anytime.
I'm not anti-Megan.
I just don't want to see She-Hulk twerk.
It felt a little gratuitous.
I don't think it made much sense. It felt out of character. It maybe would have worked better had it been a fourth wall break rather than part of the, story. Because I thought, I'm not sure she'd do that, but turns out she will.
Well, that's the other question is, does this mean is Megan Thee Stallion, aka Tina Snow, is she a superhero? Because why else would she be getting a lawyer who specializes in superheroes?
Great point. I mean, her superhuman twerking ability.
I mean, she's got an alter ego. If you've got an alter ego, you're 9/10 of the way there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought she did great, and I think that makes an excellent point that we have to assume at this juncture that Megan Thee Stallion is a superhero.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can see her again in the MCU, maybe with a solo movie.
Yeah. She's one of the Marvels now.
Yes.
We also had a new character popped up for all of 2 seconds, but I got very excited about it. Renee Elise Goldsberry
That's right.
stopped in as Mallory Book, famed attorney, supermodel looks, and Barracuda lawyer is what the Fandom wiki says about her. I didn't want to get any of the details wrong.
There you go.
I got so excited, and when she left, I shouted at my TV, "Renee, come back!" But she didn't.
She'll be back.
She'll
There's
be
no
back.
way.
Yeah, you don't
There's
just
no way.
get her for a 2
They
seconds.
didn't get a Skylar sister just for a one-scene walk-on.
Exactly.
No way.
No, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting because in the comics she has a rivalry with Jen, so I wonder if that's something that will play out, or it being a feminist show, is that something that they will sidestep? I'm not sure, but the story is quite interesting because she becomes the chair of a company called Fourth Wall Enterprises.
Oh, funny.
Which actively its purpose is to destroy She-Hulk. And ultimately they become friends. I hope I haven't spoiled the plot of She-Hulk.
That's like episode. You're on episode like season 4 at this point.
I sort of assumed just from the brief glimpse at her and what little I know about her that the plot is going to be they're going to be rivals, and then ultimately they're going to come to respect each other in a feminism way, ladies helping ladies, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean,
so I don't think it's a spoiler to be like they become friends eventually. That is also one of my favorite tropes, is when a villain in a story just like stops doing it and becomes buddies with the main group.
We got a Deckard Shaw.
I'm a big fan of that.
I mean, if you see like I only know her from Hamilton and then Girls Five Eva. But
I love her in Girls Five
on
Eva.
Girls Five Eva, she's got she's got like such a big sort of comic voice that I feel like, yeah, her as a very colorful, over the top rival for She-Hulk does sound perfect.
Yeah,
me.
it seems not to make a pun about how great she is at singing, but pitch perfect.
There you go,
Hey.
exactly.
I hope she sings. I'm hoping that means we're going to get some kind of like karaoke number.
It would only make sense.
Like, why do you get Renee Elise Goldsberry if you don't want to make her sing?
It's true.
That's my
Does
question.
This mean we could get a little trio with Megan the Stallion back in, and
Yeah.
I'm picturing the song now, and I love it. So we also do have some comments from the chat. Bruins fan 1144 says,
I'm a Bruin.
Hey, well, they're a fan.
No, they're the
you.
team, the UCLA
No, of you.
Sporting Athletics Department. Not me.
Thank you for being a fan of Lon specifically.
Go Bruins.
Says, I love when these shows use the bottom of the barrel villains like the Wrecking Crew. I can't wait for Paste Pot Pete or Mandrill to inevitably show up. Yeah, what did we think of the Wrecking Crew? I know you were excited to see them, Kim.
well, yeah, largely because of what it could mean, and I know Lon doesn't always like these shows setting up what's to come.
Listen, I'm fine with signposting on occasion. Listen.
But they mentioned the thing here for me was, I mean, they were well out of their depth, but they mentioned the boss, and they tried to take some of She-Hulk's blood and were unable to. So the question obviously is, who is the boss? And I wonder if there's been some speculation online. I think a lot of people think maybe it's the Contessa or Fisk maybe, but I think Titania may have something to do with it. And ultimately, does this mean Dr. Doom could be, well, he will be down the line at some point, but given that they both the Wrecking Crew and Titania have connections with Dr. Doom, that's my hope, and that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, Zayas B. Lou agrees with you. It says, what was even the point of including the Wrecking Crew if their enchanted weapons did nothing against She-Hulk? They could have been just 4 random thugs working for Titania. So I think there's some disagreement there, but also some slight agreement where, like, why are they people we know, but also they could be working for Titania. I agree with you, Kim. I think we saw such a brief glimpse of her in episode 1. It would be kind of, and they hyped up her presence in the show so much that I feel like it would be sort of silly if she wound up not being the boss. Plus, getting 4 kind of incompetent people to be the goons, I feel like a bigger boss would have more competent goons,
Yeah, I definitely feel like we're going to see more of her, both because, they really set up that she was going to be in the show and it would be disappointing. But also, every episode has had at least a mention. Like in this one, when we were seeing all the social media, there was like a crawl at the bottom about what Titania was up to this week. And so if they're keeping her in the front of our mind because she's going to come back, I think that's a good guess. But also, did they not? I believe they mentioned that their weapons were Asgardian enchanted weapons.
They stole it from an Asgardian construction worker.
Right, which means we've had multiple, because we also had a Asgardian shape-shifting elf as a plot point in this episode. Yeah. So to me, if there was it seems like we're setting up some kind of villain with some kind of connection to New Asgard. Not that I know enough about Marvel Comics to guess beyond that what that means.
Our resident expert.
Sorry,
is
folks.
off in Disney World having Disney World adventures.
Yeah.
Kim's our most knowledgeable person right now, and she's so knowledgeable that I think it makes up for me and Lon.
So I think Valkyrie's the bad guy. That's what I'm saying.
Great guess. I think you're probably right.
Runa, the light elf, is shapeshifter, and in the episode, one of She-Hulk's asides was that she had an idea of what to use her for. So I don't know what that's going to be. Perhaps somebody else in the comments might have some idea, might have some speculation. But also the idea of shape-shifting kind of ties in with the Skrulls, which we know already in the MCU are able to shape-shift.
Yeah.
We know that.
It's a real Chekhov's shapeshifter. Once you've set up shape-shifting in episode 3, we're kind of always going to be on the lookout for it later on.
Oh my God. And then there's Lord of the Rings with Sauron as a shapeshifter as well.
Too.
It's all about shapeshifting.
Yeah, he's young and hot in Rings of Power.
Shapeshifting's the hot new power that everyone wants. And why wouldn't they? I mean, She-Hulk is basically shapeshifting every week. She looks different every time I look at her.
Very smooth.
Now's my weekly you can set your clock to this, my weekly complaint about the CGI moment. Again, which I can't stress this enough, not the artist's fault, not the VFX artist's fault.
No.
At all. They are doing their best. You can tell they are so talented and they are working under such conditions, and this is what we've got. And I was, again, talking to Lon about this before we started, where Tatiana Maslany is such a good actress. And every time she shows up and she's not in her She-Hulk facade, there's such a sense of relief. I get so resentful when She-Hulk is on camera because I think it takes away from Tatiana's performance. I think there's no way it's being translated, like the subtleties of it are not being translated with everything else that's going on. And I just sort of wonder if the CG's getting worse or if that's just my bias. What do you think, Kim, Lon? Do you think the CG's getting worse?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about it. Probably is getting worse because I am noticing it more. But totally, I agree with you about the VFX artists doing an amazing job and they're under so much pressure. But you're right about it taking away from the performance. And a show like this, a comedy show, a sitcom, hinges so much on the performances, and everybody, I think, is bringing their A game really. And Tatiana Maslany is one of them, but also Tim Roth, who I think this is his best performance for me since Reservoir Dogs.
Whoa!
Wow. Watch Resurrection, folks.
I know.
Scary
we were talking
stuff.
about Resurrection. Which I have.
Yeah. He's in a movie this year with Rebecca Hall called Resurrection. I swear he must have made it back to back with this. And he plays a really terrifying, he's the villain in that one. And it is such a scary performance. It is hard for me to switch off and watch him because he's being funny and gregarious in this one.
He's good in it, though.
He's great. Yeah. I know. He's a terrific actor. I will say, just like on the CG-ness, I feel like it obviously it's not they didn't get talented VFX artists. It's the time crunch, it's the budget crunch, this was pandemic, they were working from home, limited resources. I just feel like keeping that in mind, just use it more judiciously. You don't have to have her be She-Hulk in the whole episode. And in fact, there's a plot point of like, we want you to be around the office in your She-Hulk mode all the time. And it's like, why make that a plot point? Yeah. Make it easier on yourselves by having her be Tatiana Maslany more often.
Yeah, just do it in court or something.
Right, and then
what's the point of having it in the office?
And then you can make it look better during the few scenes per week where we do have a She-Hulk in the show. I feel like Star Trek Stranger New Worlds is a good example of this. Like 90% of the action is 3 people in a hallway. And they do that on purpose so that the one time they need to do action per episode, they can make it look really cool.
Yeah, it's the West Wing of television shows.
Exactly.
Okay, speaking of Tim Roth's character, Blonsky, this is a little bit of a nitpick. I was just wondering if maybe I don't know much about maximum security superhero prisons, but she mentioned in her arguments that he was teaching yoga and stuff like that.
She does.
Do they let him out of the cylinder? Does he just hang out in Gen Pop when we're not visiting him in the cylinder? I don't understand.
Oh.
Not to be like ding, but like I don't understand how that works.
I will say, I just imagine in my mind, I pictured them bringing a class in and he was inside the cylinder.
Oh, yeah, that does
and
make
they're
more
facing
sense. Okay,
him
thank
in
you.
the cylinder. That was my vision of it.
Okay, thank you very much for saying that because it was not working in my brain and I did not get there. But that makes so much more sense.
There does not seem to be a sink or a toilet in the cylinder though, which does raise that as a they must let him out twice a day or something.
Yeah. But also he's
3,
been giving
4?
his toilet kombucha making lessons as well. So
Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
he must have a
yeah.
toilet
He's
somewhere.
got access to a facility somewhere, yeah.
yeah.
This was also my problem with Charlize Theron in the most recent Fast movie, or one of them, where she's in just like a glass box the whole movie. It's like, what? Occasionally. She can't just be in a glass box
Does
24/7.
she like get to go outside and play a little tetherball
She's
or
like
something?
coiffed even. Like she's got a vanity
Yeah,
somewhere.
It seems impractical. Like I know these super cool see-through cells like look so cool on camera, but
I don't even know if there's holes in that thing.
I want to meet the designer of this. Like, explain to me
How is
the
oxygen getting into
practicalities.
cipher?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad that we're really talking about this, a very important point.
This is real stuff, yeah.
That's going to be make or break for the show for a lot of people. Okay, let me think. Oh, yes, Kim, we've been talking about this a lot from week to week. How do you feel the big misogynistic moments played in this episode? We had it pretty much almost 100% of the episode was peppered, I thought, with like cartoonishly misogynistic moments. But what did you think about that?
Yeah, well, I said it the other week, but I think it works and it's important for a lot of people to spell it out rather than it being subtle, because I saw comments from people online saying they'd never thought of women's experience being like that before. So clearly
I didn't mean to sigh that heavily, but
I know, right? But we had that. Obviously, the whole social media comments that were shown on screen, that stream of misogynistic comments, which was effective. And then this guy, he says, "I'd smash it" or something like that. She-Hulk. But then, what was also really great was when the street attack. You know, when she embodied that kind of woman that we wish was in us, where that's happened to all of us, or we've been in as a woman, or we've been in fear of that happening to us all our lives. Every day we go out somewhere, and being She-Hulk, she's able to transform and smash. I loved that bit where she's just smashed that guy's head into the other guy's head, and he ended up in the wall.
Yeah, I think my only issue with that is that should have killed them. Like,
Yes,
they should be dead now.
In Disney Plus world, that knocks you out. But in the real world, that would probably be fatal.
In real world, they would have exploded like watermelons.
Yeah, most
but
likely.
no, I agree with you, Kim. I thought that was like one of the first times I've ever seen like a real like female power fantasy play out, because even in the bar scene in episode 1 with the guys approaching her, like there's that sense of danger that you have when strange men approach you and you're alone, but it's not an overt this is definitely a threat, kind of threat, like these guys were. And just her momentarily forgetting and then remembering, oh, wait, I can take care of this, no problem, felt so like true to what the situation would actually be. And I also do think that, like, I did call the misogynistic comments cartoonish, but I don't mean that in a negative way, because oftentimes these situations are very cartoonish. When she's on the news at the end and they want to know her diet and exercise routine, that reminded me of that interviewer who asked Scarlett Johansson how she fit into her Black Widow suit after asking all the guys about their, like, how they got into character and stuff. That felt pulled directly from an actual, like, MCU press junket interview. So I thought it worked a lot better for me this week than it had, certainly in episode 1, which felt a little, like, unearned in a lot of ways.
I mean, I think that what they can do well in an episode like this is that it does feel true to life. And I mean, we've seen it in the reactions to this fictional TV show, that the idea of a female superhero sets off these kinds of comments. And so it's only realistic to have her deal with that. That's what a person becoming the She-Hulk would really deal with. Whereas in episode 1, it was just her on this, like, island or resort or wherever she was with her cousin. And it doesn't feel as real, because it's like, well, if you're just with your cousin, you're your good buddy, you probably wouldn't have to put up with as much guff as you would from, like, dudes on social media in the public. So I do earned, I think, is the right word. That episode 3, it feels organic to the situation. Whereas episode 1, it feels like, oh, let's give her a line of dialogue so we can sort of engage with these ideas.
Now let's take screen caps and have them go around on Twitter and have everyone know what this show's about.
I mean, I didn't hate that scene as much as, like, a lot of the internet did, but it doesn't feel quite as natural just coming up between her and Bruce as it does between her and, like, the doofuses of TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree. I think that it was definitely just more organic this week.
Yeah.
Speaking of organic,
as I always am.
Matan Valensky said, last week we had that side headline, and this week Len Wein got a thanks. Can it say something about the soon of Wolverine? Did we get another hint at X-Men and Wolverine in this episode? I don't know why I said speaking of organic with Wolverine, the least organic superhero there is probably.
Or with bone claws. Those are natural.
I think it does say that it's coming soon, and why wouldn't it? Wouldn't you want to get, if you're Disney, Wolverine over as soon as possible? Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I think the thing that's most intriguing is that we now have dates for so much. We know when Secret Wars is coming. We know when Fantastic Four is coming. But we didn't get there's no, like, here's the X-Men movie. So I feel like that means they're going to start dribbling it out. Who knows? You know, like, we're going to just start getting X-Men popping up in other stuff, or mutants at least. So, yeah, they're creating this kind of tantalizing, like, well, maybe it's next week. Maybe it's next year. You don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if now that we've had 2 mentions and rule of threes, etc., I wonder if the third mention that's inevitably coming is going to be much bigger and less of an Easter egg and more noticeable.
They did, in this show, there's a weird thing that they've introduced of, there's something in the Banner genetics that Bruce and Jennifer share that allows them to process gamma. Like, this level of gamma radiation would have killed you or I, but because...
You don't know that. You don't know me.
Well, maybe you share Banner genetics.
Hello.
Because of their special whatever DNA, they can handle it. So we could be setting up that they are mutants as well.
Yeah.
That would be a link you could make.
It definitely
Like
feels like
Ms.
they're setting up
Marvel.
mutants. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was the end of Ms. Marvel, is like, it's something about her DNA that allows her to control this power that anyone else wearing the bangle wouldn't have been able to, like, harness it or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Noor dimension.
Oh,
See, I hung on to that.
Speaking of upcoming properties and doing a quick segue here, Matan Valinsky also wanted to know, can we talk how the Rings of Power is based on some century-old notes instead of the Silmarillion? Do you think that Warner or Embracer might try to adapt it? The Silmarillion, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I was just saying I'm assuming that's what they mean. I think the Silmarillion is really hard because I haven't read the Silmarillion. Don't quote me on this. But I feel like it's written like, it's like the Bible, you know, where it's like, it's not a story. It's like a little bit of this story and then this story and then this story. And then 1,000 years later, there was this. So I don't know how you would make a
Much
movie.
Much like the appendices that he references as century-old notes. I mean, they're not dissimilarly written, the style-wise. But can we talk about that it's based on those century-old notes? Yes, I think. I mean, I've seen the first 2 episodes of The Rings of Power, and I'm a big fan of what they're doing. And I love that they are embellishing Tolkien's notes, appendices, and it's something that he himself had said he was embracing of in a letter to his publisher years ago. He said he hoped that people would do this one day, and that's what's happening. And I love the freedom that this is giving them. They didn't have the rights, Amazon Prime, to the Silmarillion, which is why they haven't adapted that. But it will, I'm sure it will get adapted someday.
Yeah, any day now.
Any day.
Yeah, I'm so excited to watch it, which actually I will be doing tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time on Fandom's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/fandom, along with my co-host Emma Fife and our special guest Carolyn Page. It's going to be a lot of fun. Watch along for the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power, so feel free to tune in. Or you can tune in today at 3 p.m. for a cool community Jackbox stream. Should be really cool.
Yeah. What Jackbox games do you guys play?
I'm a big fan of Quiplash and bracketeering.
Quiplash is the best one.
Yes, and Emma has said that she's a big Trivia Murder Party person.
Yes, those are the 2 best. I think those are the 2 best.
Those will definitely come up. So, I think that's it for today, unless
I
I
feel
have
good.
forgotten something. Ryan, did I forget anything?
No.
Cool. He says I didn't forget anything. All right. Well, thank you, Kim. Thank you, Lon, for giving excellent opinions about Lord of the Rings and also She-Hulk. I guess
Nailed it.
more so.
The Lost Island of Numenor. That's all we've talked about.
And thank you, everyone in the chat, for all your wonderful questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but I cannot wait to talk to you all more about She-Hulk, maybe not you, Lon, next week when Eric is back. And he does this instead of me.
He's bad.
Lon will be around for Andor, so you'll see him again soon.
Oh, and Andor.
I'll be here for Andor. Yeah.
Lon is going to be here for Andor. I'm not, so I don't care about that, but Lon is.
It's going to be great, folks. Tune in.
It's going to be so good. And be sure to watch the new By the Numbers video we have for Tom Cruise, in which we determine exactly how tall Tom Cruise is in his movies.
It's a bunch of stuff. It's like how tall,
Yeah.
what longest he's hung on the outside
Most
of a
he's
plane,
run,
most
right?
running. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of
It's
stuff.
a lot of fun. It's a really fun video.
Yeah.
So check that out. And I think that's all we got. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And stay empowered, ladies out there.